Hi, hi everyone, and welcome to a session of spirituality and seeking with Pradnyaa Pandit. It is a breezy and pleasant evening in Singapore. First, a brief info about Pradnyaa. Pradnyaa Pandit is an IIT Mumbai educated visual communication designer turned awakened writer, YouTuber, author, and mentor. Pradanya started writing about her experiences with spirituality and awakening on Quora in 2016 and shortly was recognized as Quora's top writer and the most viewed writers in topics of spirituality, awakening, and friendships. Currently, she has crossed 32 million plus content views. She started her YouTube channel in 2020 and has been providing guidance through her one on one sessions to people from around the world who are going through a spiritual transformation. Recently, she released her first book on the auspicious occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi, My Secret Diaries. Hi, Pradanya, and welcome to the session.
Hi, Alka, and thank you so much for inviting me. I was not expecting that Singapore will take so much care of my new book. So, thank you so much for keeping me in mind and inviting me on this particular interview.
You are welcome to share. Like this event is being broadcast all over India, and whosoever is watching live today, and it will also be there later on, so that others can who couldn't join us today in the live event, they can watch it a recap and a revisit of the event.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, thank you so much. And thanks to Manoj Krishnan, in fact, for giving us an opportunity. You are a YouTuber and you started your channel in 2020.
Yes.
I had two questions. Like, first, what was the intent behind starting the channel? And did you anticipate the kind of following it will generate and the views that will happen given so many YouTubers being around?
Okay. I started the YouTube channel because I was already writing on a website called Quora, which is a question answer
Mhm.
website. And my whole journey of writing in the later years started with writing on Quora. So, as my content started getting popular on Quora, um, I was getting along with it. There was no thought of starting a YouTube channel. But in the span of 3 months, at least 5 to 6 people contacted me and they told me that there are certain people who are copying your content from Quora and they are making videos on YouTube out of your content. So
Yeah.
instead of making people do content on YouTube, why don't you yourself start a YouTube channel? So that
Mhm.
was like the first thing which shocked me, that my god, like people are copying my content and creating content on YouTube. So I was little apprehensive when I started a channel because I was skeptical about how I would be in front of the camera, how would I be able to narrate different concepts and able to make those videos, because writing is much easy than making a video.
Yeah.
But then something in my heart said that okay, just start it, don't think too much about it, just go along with the flow and see how it flows. So eventually, after anticipating it for quite a few months, I actually started took this advantage of pandemic and lockdown, put in a lot of time to understand how YouTube channels work, and eventually started the channel. When I started it, I was definitely anticipating that there will be people who would subscribe to me because of my prior experience on Quora, that okay, people are resonating with what I say or what I share. So I was pretty much optimistic on the YouTube channel as well. Yes.
Yes. Like plagiarism is rampant throughout the social media, be it
Yes,
in writing or even in art. The
absolutely.
content gets copied very quickly, and there is no law that can actually keep a tab or check on it. But great, you started off with your channel, and it's going on well. Um, like when I was looking at your book, I haven't read your book yet and would be reading it hopefully early next year when you would be organizing your spiritual retreat. So the book is based on your journal writing. When did you started to write journal, and how did it shape up gradually?
This is a long story, and I think my book, which I have published, also is kind of a live example or a live testimony of how that journey actually started. I had not decided to journal at all, but the thing is that this whole book is actually a compilation of my journal entries, which I started when I was a teenager. So the compilation is from 1994 to 1999, and that was the time when I first started writing. So I was in love with a boy, and he was not talking to me. And this
Okay.
naive teenage person who really wants to express her love to somebody who doesn't talk to her, and all those emotions from that teenage about vulnerability, pain, joy, delight, the new sense of falling in love, because that age is at such that you don't even understand that you're falling in love. it's
Yeah.
it's it's a very new thing. So I didn't know how to express my feelings. I have always been a very expressive person, very um, innocent at heart, very pure in my expression. So somewhere I wanted to put those expressions down, to release that whole flood of what comes in my heart. And that's
Mhm.
how actually I started journaling, and that's how it unfolded. So
So when you were expressing how you were feeling in the journal, did you even this thought cross your mind one day you will be publishing it for everyone to read?
not at all. And I think this whole title of my book, My Secret Diaries, itself is coming from this particular thing, that it has always been my secret, like my own personal secret that no one is supposed to know. So
Mhm.
that was completely for myself, and I have never thought of publishing it. But somehow the way things unfolded later in my life, I stood at that juncture where I thought, okay, it would be a good idea to compile what I have written such a long ago. Because when I got those journals 2 years back and started rereading again, I was having a very surreal feeling that I can still relate to those diaries. It's not that I feel that, oh, this is what I wrote when I was a teenager. Okay, fine. I'm still able to relate to everything, whatever I wrote at that point. So somewhere I felt that this is something which I really need to share. So now at coming standing in my 40s now, I feel I have lost that fear of keeping it a secret or hiding
Yeah.
it from anybody. I can completely be open and share it. So this is my attempt to do that.
Yeah. So, like, you have written from 1994 to 1999, you said, the
Yes.
journal entries. So, are they in the book as you had written them from a teenager's perspective, or you have edited and refined them further?
No, it is just as it is. The original language was in Marathi. So when I wrote those
Okay.
journals, they were written in Marathi. So the only change which is done is they have been translated from Marathi to English, so that more people can read it. But
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, from the content perspective, every sentence is exactly translated the way it was written. Sometimes I have added some reference to make a bit something very clear, because when you
Mm-hmm.
are writing to yourself, you are not explaining certain things to yourself, you are just assuming. So
Mm-hmm.
if somebody else writing reading the same thing, it may happen that they are not understanding what context I am writing in. So only in those places I have explained certain things. I have also added footnotes to my
Mm-hmm.
journal, because it's important in what context or in what reference, uh, cultural reference or spiritual reference or my personal reference. People
Yeah.
need to understand what, where is it coming from. So there are very interesting footnotes. I also
Hmm.
got a feedback from many people that in most of the books the footnotes are most boring, but your footnotes are
Hmm.
like the most interesting ones.
Yeah.
So
Great.
yeah, so
Uh,
that's the only change I have done.
when you were writing the journal, you were trying to understand yourself, whatever you were experiencing and going through. Will you advise to our audience that journal writing is a good hobby and a good practice for one's personal growth and individual understanding?
500%, because this has been my personal experience. And since the age of 14, as I started journaling, it
Hmm.
has always been my continued habit or practice or whatever you want to call it. And eventually, as I continued it for so many years, it literally became like a profound spiritual practice for me. That
Hmm.
sitting to write my journal and expressing myself on the paper was kind of a meditative practice,
Yeah.
which was a self introspective practice. And I have figured out three things out of it. One is that psychologically, whatever stress or pain you are going through, it's an amazing tool to release it, that you are able to
Mhm.
release
Yeah.
whatever you are suppressing in your heart. So many people
Yeah.
have nobody to talk to. So if you are journaling, it really can help you a lot to release your stress and release your emotions. Second thing is you can very well assimilate what you're going through and you could figure out some solutions to your problems.
Hmm.
So many times it has happened that I browsed back through my journals and I realized that, oh, I have unnecessarily been um thinking about this, or I'm okay, I'm not so much in pain, I'm still good, you know. So there are a certain realization which you would have if you are having those journals, and it really helps you to keep a positive attitude and bring together some pieces of puzzle which you are trying to find while you are going on in
Yeah.
your life. So absolutely, I would suggest journaling to everyone.
Yeah, like when we write, we even start with one word, and the flow of thoughts, whatever is inside, from one word, it becomes pages and pages, and we realize we didn't know how much we were holding and keeping inside us. And everything begins to fall in place, and it makes sense when we
Absolutely.
read it. And it's like a release and like a catharsis
Absolutely.
for the writer, and later on for the reader when they get to read it, they also whatever parts they are able to relate to. Even in your case, maybe the audience can be teenagers as well, because several teenagers go through upheavals in life, and parents do not relate and understand them that well. So if teenagers also read the book or write about their experience and start journaling, it will be beneficial both ways. So how did you structure the book? Because you were writing a journal, it may be diary entries date wise or something. So how did you place it in the book?
Um, this was also one very major question in my mind, that how is it that I'm going to place it in the most interesting way, because it is just a journal entry and there is no specific end and specific start to that journal, because my life is still unfolding, right? So
Yeah.
I can't say that this is the end of the story. So how do I actually structure it? So there was a specific reason why I chose from 94 to 99, because there was a specific milestone in my life when I started writing the journal, and there was a very specific milestone in my life in 1999, which kind of is a very positive milestone. So I thought
Hmm.
I might as well stop there, because as a book, it needs to conclude something. It needs to put
Yeah.
things in perspective for the reader. So there was a precise reason why I selected that particular period. And I have structured it according to my own milestones, inner milestones, that
Yeah.
I decided something and I arrived at a certain conclusion, that is like chapter one. So from that conclusion to some certain another milestone, that is chapter two. So like that, there are like seven chapters where I'm moving in my life from one milestone to another. So that's how I have structured it.
And like in your opinion, a book should always have an ending or a conclusion, or it can be left open-ended to the reader to interpret whichever way they
I
would
think
to
I
or
think
live
both.
life.
It depends upon what the book is all about,
Yeah,
and I think as a normal reader, everybody wants to see some conclusion.
yeah,
Maybe not as an end of the story or a conclusion of the story, but the
yeah.
conclusion of the writer. Like
Mhm.
what is writer trying to say and what the writer has gained out of this whole experience or whatever that person has shared. So conclusion is definitely required from the writer's perspective, even though it's not the end of the story. So because otherwise the readers would feel left alone, like, okay, so much
Yeah,
I read and at the end I understand that, oh, there is no conclusion to this.
yeah,
So you need to put a reader into perspective, that is for sure.
yeah. So, will you like to share any excerpt from the book or
Oh
anything that you would
yes,
like from the
of
book?
course.
Something
I
that resonates with the readers. Yeah.
I had written this particular entry in on 20th September 1998. So
Okay.
it's like 32 years now.
Yeah.
Where I have expressed what is the purpose of writing this diary. So it just came to me. I still remember that day when I wrote this. So here it goes. The purpose of this diary is to chat with you, communicate with you, vent out my thoughts, and to tell you everything as my close friend, and the goal is well served. On the one hand, I wonder if the pain I'm going through has any meaning. And on the other hand, the immense attachment to that pain makes no sense. With this fear, my mind struggles to provide meaning to my pain. I write to you to give meaning to my emotions in the form of words and poetry. Yet, my mind is not ready to separate my gut wrenching suffering from myself and put it in the form of words. Does the attachment to pain make sense, or does the detachment to pain make sense? My opus is created from this phenomenal inner tussle. This diary will remain the most precious memoir of my life, the treasure of my memories. Maybe when I flip through these pages after years, tears will fill my eyes when I read from my frozen emotions, while my lips will hold a subtle smile.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
wish you well, Pradanya. You have like given an identity to the diary, to your journal. You have personified it as if it's a human and it is understanding your emotions, your feelings. Literally talking to the diary. And it is talking back to you so that it relates to your pain and it is holding the pain and your understanding in its papers or in its
Yes.
sheets. Yeah, so it's both ways. So today, like now, when you are reading, when you read this to me, did you relate to the same emotions or their intensity or degree has waned somehow?
It is the same, I would
Mhm.
say. I mean,
Yeah,
even right now, I was reading, I was feeling pretty emotional.
yeah, yeah,
But I won't say like 100% because as I was going through this whole process of writing this book, um, I already processed a lot of emotions. Like I really cried, I vented out even when I was translating this book. So I have again gone through all those same emotions which I went through 30 years back. So now I'm, I think, pretty much at a better place. So it's not like impacting me that bad the way it used to impact me earlier.
yeah.
But yeah, it is still close to my heart. It would always be.
Like your secret diaries, um, at least for those who have read this diary or your book, it is no more a secret to them, for
Yes.
them. And how much authenticity is there in this diary? It's exactly what you had written. Since you said you have barely modified, except you have incorporated footnotes in the diary that are more interesting and meaningful because then you were a teenager, almost a kid, and you couldn't make sense of what you were living with and going through. So, for a writer, how much being authentic is important? If I ask you, in your book first, on a scale of 1 to 10, where will you rate the authenticity? And otherwise, from the point of view of any writers who are watching us today, how much integrity and their own self should be there in the book?
From the scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it 500.
Okay.
I mean, I think authenticity is the most important thing. If that is not there, then why are you writing a book?
Yeah.
For whom? For what? So, I feel authenticity is the soul of that book. If that is not there, then you're creating a robo, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, but mostly in fiction books, the protagonist or the plot we create, but there is some degree of the writer. The writer may deny it, but that goes into the book or writing, because without that, the book loses its sense of purpose. Okay, so another.
I get your question. I think it could be two. There are two things. One is that fiction, where you are plotting a fiction and writing a certain plot, and so whatever you are saying completely applies to it 100%. But when it is a biography or a memoir, where you are sharing your own personal life and trying to make people understand certain aspects, I think that authenticity would make everything. You can't get away from it.
Yeah. So you decided to go with a self-publishing route, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
What prompted the decision for your first book to go with self-publishing over looking for a publisher?
Okay. Again, a very interesting story. My mom is a writer, and
Mhm.
I have seen her struggle all along her life when it comes to getting a right publisher who understands her content, is able to value her content, and is able to provide a right support to distribute her book. I have
Mhm.
seen her struggling in all these scenarios. So, somewhere, this whole thought of going to a publisher and again struggling with that whole thing was a
Mhm.
complete no no for me since the beginning, because I saw my mother struggling so much for so many years with different publishers.
Yeah.
So when I started thinking about it, I had also seen that so many people are self publishing on Amazon, and it seems to be a good platform. So I decided that as this is my first book, I don't want to take it too much seriously. I just take it as a learning experience. So
Mhm.
I have been researching many, many things. I have seen numerous videos of people who are uh, sharing their experiences about how to self publish, what are the pitfalls and pros and cons about most of the things. So, yes, there are some cons of self publishing also, but I decided, okay, anything you decide, there are going to be some downside to it. So, it's okay. So, I decided to self publish, but I'm not only publishing on Amazon. I have also put my book on Kobo
Okay.
ebooks, and there are some other platforms also I'm exploring, but I took it slow because I didn't want to, like, just rush into it, and I really want to understand how it works, what are the pitfalls. And overall, if you ask me, it has been a good experience. I'm not regretting to choose self publishing. If you are well informed and if you have understood every small aspect of
Mhm.
what goes where into self publishing, you can really do well if you are self publishing your book. That's what I
Like,
feel.
yeah, and your book is remarkably doing well in the short span of time it has been on Amazon, and has been getting rave reviews. um, my question to you is, you could take that leap of faith to self-publish because you already had some degree uh, of established followers on YouTube,
Definitely.
on
Yeah.
Quora, and many people were also, as such, you had also started one-on-one session, healing sessions. So for someone who is totally novice and not connected and networked, do you think self publishing is a good alternative for them?
I would say yes and no both, because if you are first time publishing a book, then you really have to do your homework
Yeah,
before even getting into self publishing. If you're doing your homework, you might be able to prove that okay, you chose a right thing by choosing self publishing. All those people who are not having like a uh, good number of followers or
yeah,
any social media to support their content, somewhere I feel at least a website is a must. You definitely need to have a website where you can put all the information, and then small things like but which prove to be very important. For example, there is this website called Goodreads, where people
yeah,
go and log in like which book they are reading, so registering your book over there,
yeah,
being visible on different medias in terms of Google Books, or putting your book on different platforms.
mm,
And for that, I newly figured out that you need to have your own ISBN, because if you are publishing your book on Amazon,
yeah,
and if Amazon gives you a free ISBN, then you are locked to that one platform. You cannot use that ISBN to go somewhere else to publish the same book. So you need, if you really want to be in your own control where you want to take
mhm,
your book to market it, you need to own your own ISBN. So all these nitty gritties, like what you exactly need to do for expanding your markets,
mhm,
what all platforms are there, like Apple Books, Kobo Books, so many are there, and Google Books. So, making sure that your book is available on many platforms, more than one platforms, also can help you expand your reach. And somewhere I feel that in whichever network you are, it's very important to keep networking, be active in certain communities, speak to more and more people. I think more than publishing a book, marketing your book is a bigger thing, and you really need to put a lot of time there. It's not a easy thing. This is what
yeah,
I would say.
yeah. So, will you like to read another excerpt or if another poem? And show the. I love the book cover. In fact, the image you had shared with me. Yeah, it's lovely.
This is an illustration that is done by my friend, whose name is also Pradnya.
Okay.
And the moment I saw it, I was like, okay, this actually reflects my inner mood, that bluish, mystical feeling, like the butterflies
Mm,
flattering in the blue smog and that sort of stuff. So I thought that, okay, let me pick that as a cover.
yeah.
Okay, so do you want me to read? I would read poem, because that if I read anything else, it needs some context. So it's better that I read a poem.
Yeah, we have 6 minutes with us, so entirely your call. If you feel you have time to just
Okay,
give us the
so yeah, it's
context.
a small
We are,
poem. It's a small
yeah.
poem.
Okay.
Every moment, only your thought. Every cell of my mind and body is filled with your memories. In the deepest core of my soul, there are only your imprints. Every single word I utter, every single note I strike is for you. Shapes, colors, songs are for you. You are in everything. Without you, there is nothing. You are the inspiration. You are the disappointment. You are the light. You are the darkness. You are the past. You are the future. The present is also you. You, and only you. This you doesn't have any beginning, does not have an ending. This you in me is eternal, unending, always having its existence, sublime, that which won't separate from me, non dual.
Yeah. Simple words that anybody can relate to and understand,
Yes,
fit in every context. Yeah, simplicity has a beauty that nothing can touch. And simple,
absolutely.
straight words always resonate in the hearts of everyone. Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Will you like to share about your YouTube channel? What is the channel's name and what it is about?
The name of my channel is Awaken with Pradnya.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I have been running this channel is to share my spiritual journey, my spiritual experiences, my spiritual understanding, because I observe there are a lot of people who are going through similar experiences, but
Mm-hmm.
they are not understanding where to go, whom to ask, what to do. So it's kind of a place where people can come and they can start relating to my experiences. They can ask me questions and they can find some support on their spiritual awakening journey.
Yeah.
And this also includes the other areas of their life naturally, because when you are spiritually awakening, most of your challenges in your career, your relationships, money, everything is like part of that experience. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it encompasses everything.
Yeah. So, as you have evolved since 94, do you
Yeah,
think your writing has also evolved and undergone a transformation
100%.
as we all go and evolve? Okay. So, you have graduated from writing with a pen pencil in a journal to now, besides writing on Quora digitally, and then to videos, voice modulation, and um do you intend to bring out your audiobook as well?
I wanted to, for this particular book, I did not think about it because somewhere I felt that this is a journal, so it needs to be read and it
Yeah,
needs to be assimilated that way in that particular
yeah.
fashion. So, would it be a really good idea to make an audiobook? But then
Mm-hmm.
I started rethinking about it because somebody sent me a voice message of a narration of my book,
Mm-hmm.
some parts of it, and I was like, oh, this sounds really cool. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's okay if it could be I actually bring it as an audiobook. So
Mm-hmm.
you never know, in future probably I would think about it.
Yeah. So, any other advice that you would like to give to our audience who are going through any experience? Because every experience holds some spirituality and ourselves in it. So, any advice that you would like to give that will be valuable to our listeners
Yeah,
today?
I think the bottom, like many people are asking me this also, that oh, it's like some the book is about somebody you loved and you are married and you are publishing this book. So
Yeah.
one thing for any writer or any human being, I definitely want to say that fear really bogs you down. Like you don't have
Yeah.
to fear anyone or anything in this life. You are here to stand by your own truth, and you need to stand by your own truth without fear. So if you
Yeah.
hold that, then you can write 10 books, 100 books. Or if you are not a writer, you can at least stand by your own truth in your own ways,
Yeah.
which will make the most sense. And this is what is the bottom line of everything I do, including my writing or my book or my channel, that you don't have to fear anything. That would be
Yeah.
my message to everybody.
Yeah, and it takes for every human soul a process to arrive there, where they totally break all those barriers that were holding their true self or the authentic
Absolutely.
self.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's very important for everybody to be truthful, but be at the same time respectful and honoring the other person's integrity and other person's soul,
Absolutely.
and valuing like this person may be at a different level of evolution or consciousness, and this person is at a different level, embracing all and moving ahead. Easier
Absolutely.
said than done, though,
Yes.
for every one of us. But yes, so thank you so much for joining us today. We
Thank
are
you so
almost
much,
drawing
Alka,
to a
and
close.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's